If you've ever wondered what the top things you should never leave home without when traveling are, well, there's probably a lot and it depends on each person. But these are 7 things that over the past 20 years of international overseas travel, I have never left home without. Now, some of them are a little more, shall we say, to the modern times as travel has changed. Things have obviously progressed, and certain concerns that were not a thing 20 years ago are now concerns today. We'll get into that here in a bit. But the number one thing that I never leave home without, especially when I'm traveling internationally, is my converter. I have one you can find on Amazon or wherever you shop. It's about yay big. It has plugs for just regular, like the 2 prongs or your USBs. And it has all the different, um, sorry, my kitties decided to have the zoomies. It's got all the different connections you need for wherever you are in the world. Some of you are probably thinking, okay, but everything is USB now, and most devices we have are dual voltage, so why still bring one? Well, I just bring one. It's been super helpful for me, whether international or even domestic, because sometimes you're in a hotel or a hostel or even on a ship, and your outlets are not as plentiful as you had hoped. So it's an easy way to plug in and have additional USB ports, just additional ways to charge your electronics. Because let's be real, all of us carry, I think the current average is about 4 electronics with us when we travel. So it's your phone, your laptop, your tablet, and let's just say your camera, your battery pack, all these different things that need to get charged. So highly recommend taking a converter both internationally and domestically, and never leave home without it. People probably laugh at me when I'm domestic uh, with my converter, but it's come in handy many times, especially in those situations where you don't have as many outlets as you had hoped. Another thing that I never leave home without is a stitch kit. That seems really old-fashioned to say that, but I have traveled with one for as long as I can remember, and it has saved my behind so many times. There are times when you just need a needle and thread. You need to sew on a button, been there, done that. You need to sew up a hole in your wool base layer, been there, done that. There's times when maybe you just need a needle for something small and fine that you're doing. I've used a needle to help thread a wrist strap on a camera before. They're just great things to have. Yes, some of them do come with scissors. They're still, depending on where you travel, even though they're like this big and 100% within the rules, they're legal to have on the plane. People are people, and people still will take them and argue with you, and they're on a power trip. So, that being said, I learned this from a crafter. One way to get around the scissors when you need to just cut thread is to bring a little container of floss that has that little metal tab on the top to cut the floss. It will also cut your thread. So, bonus tip, if you don't want to carry scissors, take a little floss guy with you so you can cut thread. It's ingenious. And leads into the next thing that I never ever leave home without are my fingernail clippers. I know that's probably silly, but they come in handy for so many things outside of just clipping your fingernails. They'll cut your thread. Again, sometimes places in the post 9/11 world, they still take them. I don't know why, but they do. So then we go back to the floss thing. But that being said, most, like 99% of the time, I've not had a problem with it. I love my fingernail clippers. They've helped me cut threads. They've helped me open packages. We can get into things like when you have that really like the vacuum seal, kind of heat shrink wrapping, and you need to get into it. I've used them for that. They've just been something that's always been in my toiletry kit. I can think of so many times where people have had issues getting into things. They're like, oh, well, we know Kaylin will have something to get through this, and out comes the fingernail clippers, and they're great. They're underrated. I feel so silly saying this, that you should bring fingernail clippers, but you should. And yeah, don't have much more to say on that one. They're just a great thing to bring. Another thing that I love to bring with me everywhere. Oh, I knew she was gonna do it. I was kind of watching her. You haven't met her. Boy, she tries to get into my plants. My little helper munch. She's on one today. She's got a little extra energy and a light. Yeah, she did. I was like, she probably moved my curtains in the background. She's a little helper, but not always as helpful as she thinks she is. That being said, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Something that I've brought with me for, gosh, most of the past 20 years is a scarf. It's so simple, but it is so easy, and it can be used for so many things. I cannot recommend bringing a scarf enough. Even in this sounds silly, even in the summer months, it doesn't have to be just for cold months. And here's why. You're going to be on and off planes or other transportation, and you may be cold because there's AC and it's just air, and it's an environment you can't control. It's nice to have a scarf because you can use it as a scarf. You can use it as a blanket. It's just a little extra something. It doesn't take up a ton of room in your suitcase. Highly recommend it. Other uses for scarves that I've had over the years, if you're in a hostel situation and you don't have curtains on the bed, or maybe you do have curtains, but you're on the top bunk and they don't have like a roof or a ceiling, an enclosure over you. Well, now you're still at the mercy of every single time someone walks in the room, the light turns on and it's 2 a.m. Now you're awake because the light's in there, even though you have a curtain. So I've used my scarf as a curtain. I've used it as kind of like a little canopy on the bed just to try and keep some of the light out. So they're super great to have. They're so easy. They're so versatile. Highly underrated. I pack them with me every single time I go somewhere. And actually, a lot of times I pack two. I just love having a scarf with me. So highly recommend having a scarf. Another overlooked item that I have lost track of how many times I've been asked for is a pen. It's so silly to me that people don't carry pens with them anymore. As travel has changed, you don't really need them to fill out landing cards and paperwork at border anymore because so many things are electronic. But that being said, depending on which country you're going to, sometimes you still have to fill out a landing card and you need a pen. I have been standing at Customs and Border at the counter filling out paperwork and had multiple people stand in a line asking if they could borrow my pen to fill out their paperwork because they didn't have a pen. There weren't pens provided, and it really is it makes me laugh. It's so funny to me that people don't carry pens. I even had a situation where I was sitting in a lobby of a really nice office building, and someone was on the phone next to me and they needed a pen, and they looked at me and were like, "Do you have a pen?" And I'm thinking, well, yeah, of course I have a pen. And I always carry a pen. I carry a pen with me in my suitcase. I carry a pen with me in my bag, whether that's my purse or like my side little bag, whatever bag I'm carrying. I always have a pen. It's so underrated, but it will save you. Trust me, been there, done that, all over the world. Carry a pen, and better yet, carry multiple. Because I have had at least one instance where I had a felt tip pen and it got caught in my bag. Cat came off and I didn't know. And by the time I got to my destination, the thing was dry. And I was like, shoot. So carry multiple pens, maybe carry a ballpoint pen. Just carry a pen. Highly recommended it. Another thing that I carry, and really mostly in probably the past decade, this is one of those concerns that we didn't have 20 years ago. I now carry all of my credit cards, my passport in RFID blocking sleeves. She's in the curtains, isn't she? This is great. She's so funny. Of course she has the zoomies. Anyway, I'm sorry. She is such a distraction. RFID blocking sleeves. I carry everything in them. it's so important. You never ever know who's around, who's trying to steal your information. I can hear the curtains. And can we not back here? Oh my gosh, she's so funny. You never know who's out there trying to steal your information. You never know who's next to you. And these days, your cards, your passport, they're out more than you probably realize. For example, everything like public transport is now tap to pay. Now it's just one more time your card is out and exposed, and you don't know who's standing next to you. You don't know if someone's tampered with the machine. So I keep everything in my RFID blocking sleeves at all times. And when just a quick side note tip, when it comes to tap to pay, if that's on a bus, if that's on an underground subway system, people probably think I'm funny. I still highly recommend buying the local card, whether that's like an Oyster card in London. I think there's a Metro card in France. Or Paris. I haven't been back to Paris in a long time, but there used to be a Metro card. Anywhere that you can buy the local card, or buy, tickets or something, I still highly recommend doing that, because taking that card out and tapping to pay with a fixed amount is a whole heck of a lot less of a headache if something happens to that card versus if something happens to your credit card or your debit card. Never use a debit card overseas, just FYI, always a credit card. Point being, I would rather have something happen to the prepaid card than my credit card, especially when I'm overseas. So just a side note, something to think about. If that's too much of a hassle for you, you do you. Just throwing it out there as an idea. That brings me to my number 7. My last thing that I always bring with me everywhere, and it's probably the most obvious, is my passport. And you're thinking, yes, obviously you have to carry it when you go internationally overseas. It's true. I also carry it domestically. I've carried it domestically for at least the past 20 years, long before real IDs in the United States. I'm US based, in case you didn't know. So now we have to fly with something called a real ID domestically. Our passport counts. So I've always traveled with my passport. And it's just something that I do. I highly recommend it. It's just such a valuable document. On the flip side, if you do travel with it, even domestically, got to make sure you keep it safe. But um, it's an important document. It's a powerful document, and I just like having it with me personally. I've always been proud to have a passport. I've always somewhat joked if I ever had a last minute change of plans and needed to go international, I have it with me. I'm prepped. That hasn't happened yet, but it's just something I always have, and it's just something I don't leave home without. I will say, this year I did forget it when I went on leg one of a trip. I drove to visit family and got there 7 hours away and realized I left my passport. So a good friend overnighted it to me, and I was able to make my flight 2 days later. But other than that, I've never forgotten it, never lost it. So passport, that's my last one. That's my number 7. And yeah, check out the blog, check out the newsletter, come join my little core internet. I love talking travel. I love talking about simple things like this, actionable items, just to help people with their travels and impart some of my knowledge that I've picked up along the way and learned the hard way. So yeah, come join me, hang out, enjoying this, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye.